UConn, Arizona, Elite Eight action. Marco, no one says you weren't persistent. Who do you like and why?
Well, I like the under in this game, and this is a situation we're going to talk about value. So many times when we break down these games, we talk about line value, perception, public perception, and anybody that watched the Arizona-Duke game, and unfortunately I watched it and got nauseated, but you watch the game, what I took from that game is because of the complexion of the game, it got itself into a track meet, up and down the floor. The teams, because of the margin most of the second half, Duke was forced to play fast, and they were putting up a lot of shots. Consequently, by putting up a lot of those shots, they were missing a lot of them, which was giving Arizona quick rebounds and fast break and transition buckets. So John Q. Public is going to look at that game, see that Arizona scored against Duke, what was it, 93 points, and it's a situation that they're going to say if they can score that many against a Duke team, they're going to score a lot of points against Connecticut.
So we have an example where we have a deceiving result, and when the public reacts to deception, or not deception, but something that's inherently deceiving, then they're reacting to something that's untrue, and thus fading that's a good thing. That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, did the total come out at a number that felt right to you?
The total came out, and this is a situation when and we'll do a little bit of handicapping as we break this down. When the total comes out, obviously there's two teams involved. So you
Agreed.
Okay. Hey, you agree with that one? Okay. But the situation is, if you look at the previous totals for the Arizona games and you look at the previous totals
In the tournament,
and you look at the previous ones for Connecticut, when you get two teams and their contrary styles, generally the total is going to come out somewhere in the middle between the mix of the two. Mm-hmm. They're basing this total solely on the Arizona side.
So the point of, what is the total?
145.
So the point I'm making is that you're saying you think the public's wrong, but the line's coming out at a number that assumes the public is wrong. Meaning you don't really know, is the public going to bet over and under. This 145 feels right, mm-hmm. because if they ended up coming out at 136, you might think that for sure that the under, they're going to score less than the public thinks, but so might the bookie, and he might be willing to get a lot of action on the over. So this is a value play, not a trap play for you.
Correct.
Pure value.
And what I'm looking at, for one, Connecticut plays a different style of basketball than Duke. Let's face it, and I know the Big East has taken a beating, press-wise, of what they've done in the tournament, with 11 teams being in the tournament and only 2 being left. The situation that I'm going to point out, Duke is more known as a finesse team than a physical team. Duke's not a team that pounds the ball inside on you. They like to shoot from the outside. And Connecticut, the Big East, one thing you have to agree with, and everybody will tell you that, the Big East is a physical conference. And I'm going to point out a game Arizona played when they went, the last meeting when they went to UCLA, on UCLA's home floor. So you figure the tempo is going to be dictated more by the home team mm-hmm. than the road team. Ben Howland is a former Big East coach. He brought that defensive mentality with him to UCLA. He held this Arizona team to 49 points.
Held the Arizona team.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm looking at Connecticut and Calhoun, a Big East coach. Connecticut is going to shorten this game. They're going to try to get this into a half-court game. Two things happen when you get it into the half-court game. One, obviously, there's going to be less possessions in the game because you're slow in the tempo. Second, if you are working the ball for a better shot, you could still shoot a high percentage, but you're going to, when you do connect and you've got a higher shot perception, or connection rate, I should say, you're not going to have those fast break points on the rebounds. When you're playing up and down and you're taking quick shots, you get the rebounds and then you got the ball going back the other way quickly.
Okay, so when it comes, and this is something that back in the 80s, the handicappers didn't understand when I was a teenager, is they would say, well, Team A averages this many points, Team B averages this many points, and this was clearly not, the sabermetrics came even later, but pace. Mm-hmm. It was how many points per possession. And really, when you think about points, it's going to be two factors. how many, and this is football, basketball, are the two main sports that there's a clock involved that we handicap, is the faster the pace, the more points you score. The more efficient you are on offense or the more inefficient you are on defense, the more points you're going to score. So you might have a situation where a team's really good on defense, but they give up 70-some points a game because they play at such a fast pace. Mm-hmm. Or you find this with some of these grind-them-out teams. They're really not that good on defense, but because there's so few possessions, it feels like that, oh, look, there's 58 points a game or whatever the math of it is. So Vegas Runner, in today's podcast we did, and that's actually going to be up through tomorrow, we looked at the Saturday Elite Eight games at pregamepodcast.com. He talked about this game and said, listen, what's deceiving is neither team plays D. They're not really, in his opinion, not defensively strong teams. He said the trick here is he doesn't expect the pace to be as high, and it's the same point you're making. It's not so much these are great defensive teams. Maybe you think Connecticut is a little better. I'm not going to argue that. But it sounds like your argument's the same as his, which is you like the under not because of the quality of the D, but rather you don't think the pace is going to be what people expect.
Absolutely. Another thing that you get with public perception because of this game, there's no question. Arizona's got a superstar, in Williams, I believe his name is. In Connecticut, got Kembe Walker. When you get two superstars on the floor, we see this all the time in pro football. When you got two marquee quarterbacks matching up, the general public automatically thinks, oh, over, because you got two superstar quarterbacks. They're going to throw the ball up and down the floor. Both guys scored 30-some points last night. This game is going to be played where they're going to try to minimize those guys, take them out, and make the other guys work for the shot. And I just think that gives us added value and why this total is that high. Here's a stat. Connecticut, the last 11 games, the over-under in Connecticut games has been 137 or less in 11 straight games.
Well, I could have seen, you're looking at the computer screen, you're squinting, and you're counting. Now, how many times did you count to see if it was 11?
Just once, sir.
You didn't double through?
No, I got it printed out right here.
Oh, so you put a little check marks beside it? Well, that's, if there's a representation of the fact that there's a premium on the over here, it seems like that proves it. I mean, we're talking about 8 points of difference.
Right. I like this game. This is
Give us your official projection.
I'm going under in this game.
It's that camera.
Well, I don't know if we're on the headshot here because you're
Don't
talking
worry,
too.
you always go to that one, baby.
All right, we're going to go under. I have Connecticut winning the game 70-67. That puts us at 137, just where the UConn totals have been. One final note, the last 4 games, and Connecticut's been playing very well. They held Louisville to 66 points in the Big East Championship. Forget the Bucknell game, but they held them to 52. They had Cincinnati to 58 and San Diego State to 67. So I see this as an under.
I got to tell you, I'm a little torn. I love your rationale. You convinced me. You've been cold. You've been cold. Yeah. So, but you know what I'm going to think about? I'm going to think about the 31 years of winning, not the last 3 games. That's probably smart.
Probably.
So I'm going to endorse it.
All right. I'll sleep good tonight. Well, wait till I see tonight's scores before I tell you if I'll sleep good or not.
All right. Your turn to continue the conversation in the comment section with Marco and me. And we'll be back next week with, you're going to do a Sunday video from home, right?
We'll break down one of the Sunday games.
All right. So Sunday webcam for Marco. Then next week, we're going to be doing baseball previews with Marco. 25 straight winners last year, I heard.
I heard that too.
And we'll be breaking down the Final Four. See you then.